dig that. This that Friday night day, chillin' with my girls in my new J. Feeling good, but ain't looking for a new babe. Head down to Taylor Lobs, cause I'm up the street.
Welcome to another episode of Ladylike. What's up, ladies? Alright, so we're gonna start off, we're gonna talk about something serious. In the news recently, we saw that Kate Spade committed suicide. And then we saw Anthony Bourdain also committed suicide shortly after. So it's been a lot of discussion about mental illness. And especially coming from the black community where we feel some kind of way about mental illness. We tend to label it a little different. How are y'all feeling? And we didn't talk about this so much, but the one theme I saw that kind of shook me a little was a lot of people label their actions as being very selfish, and it's something I hear a lot when people talk about suicide. So let's talk about, do you feel like suicide is selfish, and why is it that we have that feeling of suicide, about suicide?
You have to consider, sometimes we assume that we're sane or of level mind. These people have something going on with them, either chemically, trauma-based, whatever it is. We will never be able to understand what led them to that point, because we would say, yeah, that's selfish. Why would you want to do something like this? You have all the money in the world, you're powerful, you're this, you're that. But nothing negates that when you are feeling hopelessness and all the other symptoms you have. So to say that someone is selfish because they took their life, that's not fair either.
Well, I think for me, just speaking from working with people in this situation, and also from an honest perspective, I've felt suicidal. I think one of the things that has to be known is at that point in time, you don't see any worth in your life, so it doesn't feel selfish. It doesn't feel like I'm taking anything. In fact, I feel that I'm relieving the people I love of the burden of me. But why is it that when it comes to the topic of mental illness that we look at, I feel suicide is a symptom of mental illness. It's an action that's taken with somebody. Why is it that we can't feel sympathy for someone suffering from a mental illness in the same way that we feel sympathy for somebody going through cancer or somebody going through some other type of illness? We don't feel that way when it comes to mental illness.
Because we won't admit it. We don't admit that we have a problem. We walk around like everything is okay, and we smile and wave, and we go to the day parties, the evening parties. We show up, and we look good. And we look good for all of our girlfriends and all of our guy friends, but they don't know what we're going through. So when someone commits suicide or decides to commit suicide or thinks about suicide, you think you're delineating a burden from somebody else, but you're only burdening yourself, because you haven't shared it with anybody else, because we're too prideful. And that pride will kill you. And it has. I mean, so we can look at Kate Spade, for instance, and say, yes, she was selfish because she has an adolescent, I believe, child. So exactly. So yes, it's selfish. You robbed your child, your daughter, of her mother. But we don't know what her mental state was and who she was talking to, because we don't talk about that. We talk about ex-husbands, ex-wives, baby daddies, baby mamas, the financial situations of our lives, but we don't talk about mental illness, because then we will be tagged. She's crazy. He's crazy. He's bipolar. She's bipolar. So we just keep it in ourselves, and we try to deal with it on our own. And God forbid you go to a therapist. Nobody, I'm not doing that.
So Nikki, you were getting ready to say something.
I think it's also part of avoiding judgment, like she just said. You know, you kicking it with your friends and you seem like your life is together, and if you just decide to pick one friend and tell them, girl, I'm going through, now in your head, you're thinking, oh, now she's judging me. She's going to look at me different, so I'm not going to talk to nobody.
And who's she going to tell?
But is it really in your head, or is there a legitimate stigma that goes along with mental illness? Do we look or treat people differently?
I think we do.
Well, no, I don't think it's an elephant in the closet anymore. I think now mental illness is becoming more common in the black community. And also I think that along with the mental illness, I think we need to understand that
veterans come home with post-traumatic stress. We deal with stress every day in these communities. Every Saturday when it's sunny outside, you gotta think about the violence on the street. So along with the mental illness and the things that they see on the street and the medication that makes them sleep all day, you don't know what's going on. So I wouldn't say it's a selfish act. I just think at that moment, you're just having a weak moment.
Okay.
And I think something, oh, go ahead.
Well, mental illness is just like any other illness that you have.
Right.
Just like you could be diagnosed with cancer. I'm afraid, I feel bad because people look at mental illness not as if it's any other diagnosis, like I was diagnosed with cancer. How come I can't be diagnosed with mental illness and people will not take it as if it is the same diagnosis? And why am I stigmatized because now I have a mental illness? Most people who have a cancer have mental illness along with that, because I now have mental illness because I am dealing with my cancer. Now, because I am dealing with my cancer, I am now dealing with a mental illness because I am dealing with now my cancer. And actually, if you study mental illness, you are studying the fact that now I am going through some type of withdrawal with that. I'm not sure if people just read 2 days ago, Jada Pickett had read, she just put out an article 2 days ago saying that she had tried to commit suicide. And she has frequent thoughts of suicide. Jada Pickett just did it. And she was afraid to do it, said she has frequent thoughts of killing herself. Here's Jada Pickett, African American, has money. And people think just because you have money now, why shouldn't she have this? She can talk to anybody she wants to. She probably has talked to many people. Now she has money. What issue does she have with it?
And see, I think, going back to the stigma, I think, again, we look at mental illness and says that depression has to have a cause, something tangible that you can touch, like a loss of job or a loss of a loved one. It's not looked at as an illness. It's not something that someone chooses. No one goes into the doctor and say, I choose cancer, nor does someone choose to be depressed or choose to be anxious or choose to be suicidal. I applaud Jada Pinkett for her being honest, because I think if all of us were honest, we all may have pondered it. What we have thought about acting it all the way out, but we all have had moments where, not that we may have wanted to die, but we didn't want to live anymore. And I think it's unfair that we all can keep that, as you said, bottled inside. But when we see someone else go through it and they didn't have support or have enough strength to push through it, or they didn't have the medication or whatever they needed, that we begin to give them the stigma. I can't, they're selfish, they're this, they're that.
But again, everybody, first thing they want to do is harp on depression. There's thousands of other different psychotic illnesses that we have. If someone is schizophrenic, the first thing they're going to do, hear voices and see things. If you're battling with what you're seeing, you're battling between reality and what is going on with you. So to say that it's a choice, a lot of times it's not for them, because the chemicals in their brain is not functioning properly. If the chemicals in my body is not right, as far as my blood pressure, what do? They give you a blood pressure pill. If your sugar not right, they're going to give you something for diabetes. It could be any number of things. So we can't just say everything is labeled as depression, because a lot of times these people are battling. If I know I'm seeing the devil over there and the devil is telling me to come, but over here, this person is telling me, make up your mind, and you got this person over here talking, you battling with that and then trying to find your one little level of sanity. So we can't just say it's always a choice.
But it's part of the struggle. I look at Kanye when he had his bipolar. He's come out that he's bipolar. Mm-hmm. It's part of the struggle. The black community's thought pattern about how mentally strong we should be as a people, and therefore when you have a mental breakdown of any time, whether it's temporary, or
mental illness doesn't have a color, an income, or a demographic.
It doesn't.
Lack of education.
It doesn't. But we as black people have, I've heard sayings such as, our ancestors went through slavery and you can't get through this. I mean, we tend to, we all know the black superwoman syndrome and how many black women are suffering behind that. is it that and here I am, I'm applying color because we're all women of color. Is it that we as women of color need to change our mentality about how we handle situations and how we go through things so that we can create a support network? Because as you said earlier, we don't talk about it because if we talk about it, now you're talking about me. When I'm not in the room, now you want to talk about, girl, you know she going through. My man left her and now she over there, she losing her
But
hair, pulling her
you
hair
gotta
out.
also remember, regardless of how much a support network you have, regardless of how much money you have, regardless of how many times you're going to the therapist, nothing is going, sometimes it does help, but at times it's just not enough. When you take for example, you take your blood pressure medicine, it's gonna take that one time for symptoms to change before your doctor changes your medication or give you a booster or a supportive medication for it. There's no 100%. And to say that you're gonna I'm always here for you when you need me to talk to and this, that, and the other, it's not gonna always happen.
But I think you need to pick right. Because I can't pick all of you and tell y'all my issues.
Right, that's true.
Okay?
But
And
at
I
the
think
end
that's,
of the day,
as black women, that's where we go wrong. I think you my girl, and you my girl, and you my girl, and you my girl. And two of y'all might genuinely have my back, and two of y'all don't.
But I have mental illness in my family. My sister has mental illness. She's been diagnosed over 23 years. I have a cousin who has mental illness. So then I decide, well, is it in my family? And then you say, do I struggle that I may have it eventually? So I really don't, and I'm not offending anyone, I really don't even care if the next person say, well, does she have it, what the person think? Because I'm aware of what mental illness is.
And I think some people give themselves a crutch because of their genetic links with
And
their
so
family.
when you say that, when you
Because
become
of that.
educated of what it really is, when you become educated that cancer is this and it becomes genetic, or when you become educated what it really can do and what cancer can be and it becomes genetic, then you don't get that stigmatism.
I agree with what both of you are saying. I've taken an 80-hour course on mental illness, and what I've discovered now is the way I felt about mental illness years ago is totally different now that I know about it.
Right.
You know, now that I know about it, I realize that a lot of people that are mentally ill are co-current. They don't want to take medication because they sleep all day. So a lot of them
And it
are
becomes a
drugs.
part of who they
and
are,
they're
they walk as a
drinking.
zombie.
And also what you
Yes.
said as well, the support system have to be huge because although I know how to deal with a mentally ill person at that moment of weakness, that's all I can do. I can get you to the hospital, but I can't give you long term. There's not a lot of long term care. You take them to the hospital, they stay in the hospital 3 days, they release them, they're back on the street, they be doing the same thing they're doing.
And I think that goes back to they don't have a support system outside of a structured, okay, you on a 72-hour hold, once you get off that 72-hour hold and you're back in society, who have you entrusted with your life to help you move through this? And I think too, we think of PTSD as only of our soldiers. Come on. PTSD is divorce, is loss of a child, is loss of a parent, it's a traumatic event. But we don't exactly. But we psychologically, I think we've been taught that PTSD is for soldiers coming from war only, and it's like no,
Because that's the only thing that we have had education about. Well, ladies, this was definitely a very good conversation about mental illness, and I think it's a conversation we need to continue to have so that people become comfortable not only with what they're struggling with the right people, but that we can support those who are going through, because really we just don't want to keep seeing these headlines and losing people, and understanding that fame, money, relationships, none of that matters when it comes to mental illness. That ain't the problem.
It's sad because no matter what, our race is always going to be a selfish act. They something. I mean, it's just selfish. Why does she have to do? He have to do that. And when it's Caucasian, celebrity, oh, she was sick. She was ill. It was something. Okay. Why we can't go through the same thing they're going through?
I think I'm gonna tell you why. Because our pride doesn't let us tell anybody, whereas they have gone to the therapist. They've done the 72-hour
But doesn't allow us to do that too.
But no, I disagree.
But news and media, when that guy went and shot someone else and shot up the entire town, it was because his society allowed us, that thug in the street didn't do that for that reason. But when the other kid did it, look at Tommy. Tommy went and shot up the entire school. He must have been sick. But when Joe Blow went and did it,
Depending on where it is. Ladies, we could go way over when we get down there. So let's move to a lighter topic. I've been seeing trending on Facebook this question, and so I gotta pose it to y'all. I gotta hear your opinion.
Can I put one more comment on the mental health before you go there?
Okay, come on.
Check on your girlfriends. Check on your guy friends.
Yeah,
Because a
Yeah.
lot of times we think they're okay,
Yeah.
and when you start seeing different patterns of your folks that are off key, check on your folks.
Yeah.
I like that.
Because that might be a sign that it might be situational,
trying out for
but
help.
check on your
That's
folks.
a great ending to this time.
That
Check
is
on
a
your
great
folks.
ending.
Okay, thank you. Okay, go ahead. Facebook.
All right. Lighter topic. I've been seeing comments about should women pay on the first date?
I'm gonna smoke on that.
So, smoke on that.
Hold on. Woo! Let's classify the term date. Is this just sex only?
First date.
I mean,
First
first
date.
date. Oh, you gonna
Good
pay?
time.
First date.
We ain't talking about sex. We talking about steak. We ain't talking about paying for the meal.
Okay. Whoever asked for the first date should be the one to pay.
Lies.
Yeah.
I can ask a man out, and I am going to now. This, and ladies, I'm going to tell one of our secrets. Now, I will offer to pay, but I really don't have the intentions.
Then why
of
open
paying.
your mouth and say?
It's offering just to be not. You want me to go? You want me to put in on that? My expectation now, if you say yeah, I'm going to pay, but it's a deal breaker. It is to check you to say I'm willing to, but I really don't think I should have to.
So now, on the first date, do we get a second date?
Girl, if I offer and he make me pay,
No second.
No, he didn't make you pay. You offered.
I'm confused.
No.
I'm sorry.
We don't have a second date.
No, I gotta call bullshit. Don't say shit. I gotta call bullshit.
Come on, Shay, come on.
I do not think it's wrong for us to pay for a first date.
Thank you.
It is 2018. Therefore, why shouldn't we pay for a meal or for a
cause
show?
I'm trying to have grandma love, and grandma didn't pay on the first date. That's the problem.
What's wrong with us paying for a date? It's only a date. It's not like we're about to marry this person, or he about to be our soulmate, or he our number one in the sky. It's a date.
Not the first date.
It's a date.
If he asks you out, ain't no way in hell you supposed to pay for
It doesn't matter. It's a date.
If he asks you out, there's no way you're supposed to pay for that.
Good habit.
But always be prepared that you can if you have to. Be prepared that you can if you have to. But if he asks you out, he's asking you out.
But what if I ask him out?
He's preparing to pay for that
Okay,
date if he
okay.
asks you out.
Come on, Robin. What?
No, I think your first date sets precedence of what type of woman you are.
Okay.
So if I sit up there and I'm gonna pay for it, then he's always gonna have in the back of his head that I'm gonna pay for a lot.
Thank
Not
you.
necessarily.
But
Not necessarily.
it sets precedence.
Not
It's gonna
necessarily.
say, hey, I want you to be a man, no matter what type of relationship we in, and I'm not gonna take that from that man.
Keith,
Because
he can be a man.
That's all I want is a
He
man.
can be a man.
Okay,
Well, he
listen.
can pay for dinner.
I agree because my thing is, I think
we
we get away
I'm
from
not Jesus.
I think we get away from the roles that our men are supposed to play in our relationships. He's the provider, like he's the head of the household, he's the provider. There's so many independent women, and we are, but we are so headstrong, where we think that we gotta take charge, we wanna show you, I don't necessarily need a man.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm not willing to pay for dinner, because I have. But I want that man to show me how much of a man
He
Yes.
is.
he is.
But he-
I know what I can do.
He
I know what I'm
also,
going
but
to
ladies,
pay
you
for.
all are going way over the grid. This is a date. He's
This
not
the
my
first
husband.
date.
He's not my husband. He's not my boyfriend. I don't even know. I don't even know how my wife is. Right,
But
we
wait,
can have a
so are we
conversation
saying
with
that
that.
first dates we don't date? So we don't date with intentions? 'Cause
I mean,
on the first date,
you can have your
I'm
intent. You can have your intentions, but it's a date. I'm getting to know you. We're having a conversation. And then at that conversation, you can bring up your issues. It's a date.
Okay, so it's a date.
So,
it's a date.
It's a date.
So you go on that date, and you go on that date with the intentions of him paying. Let's just say that.
Okay.
And then you get there, and he say, we're gonna flip this. Dutch. Are you going on another date with him?
Nope. Of course I would not.
We haven't set up the agreement beforehand. So if this is the first date, and I'm saying to you, since the woman is the one now asking, why don't we go on a date? I'll treat, not a problem. If he says no, I'll pay, that's not a problem again, but that's the first line of communication.
Well, you said treat.
But you said treat, right? You put it out there.
I got you. So I got another question. How many of us actually have that conversation? Like when someone says, hey, I want you to go out. How many of you actually have a conversation right there in that moment about who's paying?
I have.
I don't.
If I don't offer,
I mean, you're not gonna leave me there to wash dishes. I'm gonna have enough to cover the date, but I'm not staying to wash dishes.
And you ain't gonna order a $500 bottle of wine.
We not getting
you gonna bend over.
Something I can't pay for.
If you ask me to dinner, you're supposed to be, then I'm assuming you're gonna pay for dinner.
So
you ask me.
But does it come down to who asks?
Yes.
Is who's responsible for paying?
You asked me
I have asked you out
to go
and I
on
still
a
didn't
date
pay.
with you to go to dinner. So as a
But
man, I expect
if
you
you ask him out,
to
do you pay? Say that.
So if you ask
If
him,
you ask him out, do you pay?
I can't answer that because I'm not gonna ask you.
I'm asking you.
Are we asking him out?
I'm not gonna do it.
Are we asking him out?
No, I'm not.
I'm not asking you out.
I'm not asking you out.
No.
I'll be like, man, I don't ask you out, and depending on how much your bill is, how much you get that night. I'm just saying.
Okay, so this is my last question, lady. This is my last
Order
question.
that $200 bottle of
If you
wine.
ask him out and you pay, you giving him some after the date?
No.
A steak don't predicate ass. This is not a
Again, if you
We have
order
lost
that
the whole topic. It's
$500 bottle of wine, you giving up some ass.
Hold on. That's where you stop it right there with your waiter standing there. We're not even about to order a $200 bottle of wine.
Okay.
Cause how come when you come over,
Clearly,
Right.
we are divided.
This is some new school
And
stuff.
this was definitely some old school, so I don't think we're gonna solve this in this session.
No.
All right, ladies, raise your glass, raise your stick. Good conversation.
It's Friday night. I'm gonna need something to do. I'm gonna hit this little kickback. This that Friday night thing. Chillin' with my girls in my new J. Feeling good, but ain't looking for a new babe. Head down to Taylor Lobs, cause I'm up the street.